Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another review episode.
2 weeks in a row.
Oh, I know.
What are we, the previous podcast that we were?
What are we, the most podcast? Yeah, so this week, we're going to go ahead and we're going to review, and I'm just going to force us right into it. We're going to be reviewing the latest from Stonemaier Games, Tapestry.
A civilization game.
A civilization game. So, Tapestry is a 2019 release from designer Jamie Stonemaier. Artist is Andrew Bosley and Ron Brown. Published by Stonemaier Games. It plays 1 to 5 players and takes 90 to 120 minutes. Zach, do you have a rules overview for us?
Yes, I do. In Tapestry, you are developing your civilization and expanding your influence over a vast couple of islands. On your turn, you can advance on one of 4 different tracks or take income. The exploration lets you add tiles to the board. Military lets you conquer these tiles. Tech lets you gain technologies for additional benefits. And science will help you move up on the other tracks. You will also be placing buildings gained from these tracks onto your capital city. Taking income will let you play a Tapestry card to gain a benefit, upgrade a tech card, then gain resources and points based on your exposed icons. Once everyone has taken their 5th income turn, count up the victory points, and whoever has the most wins.
There you go. That's how you play.
Deceitfully simple to what is actually happening in this game.
Yeah.
As a lot of really good games are.
Yes.
Deceptively simple. So it is important to be honest and forthcoming about things like this. So consider this our review disclosure. This is a review copy that was sent to us by Stonemaier Games. We requested it back when it was Untitled Civilization Building Game.
Yes, he does a survey once in a while that he just sends out and you'd be like, I want to review this thing. Like the other game that was on that survey at the time was Wingspan.
Yeah.
So it was quite a while ago that that got filled out.
Yes, it did.
So we got it in as a review copy. We played it a fair amount, and now here we are ready to crush a review of it. So now we can move into some initial thoughts. I don't remember who played it first.
Jeff and I did.
Yes,
That's
and
right.
a 2-player game without the Shadow Empire.
That's right, because you played it here while I
Yes.
was like prepping for a different recording or something.
When you
Yeah.
confused, hey, do you want to try it with, hey, do you want to just look at it and not try it?
This is 100% true.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something exactly like that.
Anyway, so we'll start with you then, Jeff. What was your initial thoughts?
Well, I mean, it was that survey many, many, many months ago that I filled out, and I was like, oh, a Stonemaier civilization game? We
An
like
untitled civilization game?
Just a civilization game.
Yeah.
I could be interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I selected that instead of Wingspan, because, I mean, even then, Wingspan didn't look that much up our alley, much like the one and only Stonemaier game that we haven't reviewed, which is like My Little Scythe.
And Viticulture.
Yeah,
And Viticulture, yes, because
Famously,
Vinos has already been replaced.
It has replaced,
it.
Exactly.
After not playing the other one. But yeah, and then when he announced that this was going to be the game, I was like, oh, that looks cool. Boy, those buildings probably are unnecessary, but I am interested in seeing what this game is, because, I mean, they've got like peak production on all their games.
Indeed. What about you, Zach? What were your initial thoughts?
I'm going to copy and paste what Jeff just said.
Okay.
That it
Control
was-
C, Control V.
Yep, it was...
It was a Civ game, and it looked cool.
Yeah, it was a Civ game, looked cool, and I was interested in trying it out.
Right on. I hate to sound like, I don't know what it is that sounds the same as things. Hate to sound like a broken record. That's the phrase.
A shill.
A shill also. I was cautiously interested.
Because you haven't loved
I have
Stonemeier's
not.
stuff as much as I have.
Yeah, about the only thing of Stonemeier's that I've played so far that I would say I like is Euphoria. Everything else has been meh.
Oh, from Jamie specifically. Because you like...
Wingspan.
No,
Love Wingspan.
No, you...
No.
Between Two Castles.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so, yes. So there's 2 games I really like from Stonemaier Games. I forgot Between Two Castles was from them,
Yes.
honestly.
But it wasn't designed by him. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, so especially from Jamie's designs. But Wingspan wasn't designed by him either, was
No, it was not.
Yeah. So I've been kind of, not as excited about Stonemaier games in general or Jamie's games, in particular of Stonemeier's games. But I like civ building games, and they do knock, production out of the park. So I was excited to see, what kind of box of ridiculous pieces and bits and things we got and see where it went. So those were kind of my initial thoughts going into it. Yeah. My first play, I'd obviously seen you guys, knock out your 2-player game. So I'd seen some of the ridiculousness, but we can cover some of that stuff in things like the next section, components.
All right. So I want to tag onto what you said about them they usually knock components out of the park. This is them knocking the components out of the park. And then you're like, okay, now I have to go get that ball. And you're like, why the fuck did you knock it so fucking far away? And like, go get that goddamn ball and come back. And you're like, why'd you hit it so far?
Yeah.
So basically I'm trying to say overproduce.
Yeah. If you're going to crush something like that, crush it into like the fence so that it just is there and in easy reach.
Yeah. You knocked it over a river. I had to go across a bridge.
Yeah. It's actively inhibiting the game of baseball now. That home run has hurt this game of baseball.
Because we only had the one ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had to go get it.
Yeah, we had to go get it.
Yeah. So the components are ridiculous.
They're all very good quality.
They're great quality. Everything's real good.
Sometimes not to the best to actually play the game.
Yeah.
But are all very good quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a bunch of different cards, nice big card stock for the
they all have that linen finish
factions.
that a lot of their recent rule books have had.
Yeah, which feel real nice. The art's real good on them. It's on like your player boards, your civilization boards, the cards.
Yeah.
It's all nice. The dice are all, good. They're etched. It's not
They're custom dice for the game with unique symbols. It's D6 and D12s in this one.
And they're all custom, but it only comes with one set.
Yeah.
Which it would have been nice to have at least 2 in here so you didn't have to share between people or like a big board.
Yeah.
If you get to higher player counts, I could see the dice being a problem with only one set.
Because theoretically, you don't need it because it's only like one person's turn at any time.
Yes.
So you could just be like handing the dice to people as it's their turn if they need to use it.
And you don't need them every turn.
Yeah, you don't need them every turn, but it was nice to just have them on our own.
Yes, very much so. Because we did get the extra set of
I
dice.
bought extra ones. That was not part of the review copy.
Right. Yeah.
I spent $12 on 3 extra sets.
So like $4 a set is not bad.
It was $3 a set.
Oh, you bought 4 sets of them.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have enough for 5 people, but not.
No,
you have
4.
You only.
I spent $9. It was $12 with shipping.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh.
Still $3 for a set of dice is not bad.
It was $1 a die.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 D6 and a D12.
Yeah.
Yes. But the dice themselves are very distinct, and you don't have any question of what it actually means.
Exactly.
Unless you don't understand the iconography in the game.
Yeah.
Which
you won't until you play it, and then you will.
Yes.
So.
Right. The board itself is big. The whole game takes up a lot of space.
This is a massive, massive, massive table hog.
hog.
Holy shit.
And really, a lot of it is down to your player boards because it's
the board itself is not much of a table hog.
But then you have the civilization thing to the left, you have your capital city to the right, and you have cards that have to be to the right of those, and then
your actual player board in front of you on top of that.
Well, that's what I mean by that.
The game board is still pretty big because it's the whole play area of the islands or whatever, and then it's all of the tech tracks around the sides. It's still a big board.
I mean, I would
not say that is
out of the ordinary size.
Yeah, it is a normal size board.
Maybe on the higher side of normal, but I didn't look at the board and I'm like, that's a big board. Not like High Frontier.
High Frontier is a terrible example because High Frontier is the peak in oversized boards. Regardless, we have this huge fucking table we stream on, and it took up almost every inch of space we had.
Because of our camera zoom more than the actual table space.
I mean, it still took up a lot of the table, though.
Yeah, but it's the player boards, and to try and get it all on camera.
Yeah.
That
I have yet to play this anywhere where I felt like it didn't take up the entire table.
No, it does.
That's because we played it on that stupid card table at Burns Family Artisanal Ales that was way too small to play the game.
I mean, it also took up the huge table at the other brewery we played at.
Yeah, not Diebold, DBC Arvada.
Yeah.
We can all set the total amount of
table
total.
hog.
Yeah,
it takes up a ton of the game takes up a ton of space.
Yes, it does.
For anything other than a solo game, and even then, it's going to take up a lot of space for a solo game.
Yes,
I would say this table is perfect for this game.
Yes, and you know how many people have a table this size?
Yeah. No one.
Yeah, exactly.
And this table is too big.
This table is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
player boards too big.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's got, but you use almost all the space.
Yeah, I just wish it didn't need to take up that much space.
Right.
I mean, you don't really take up this.
Yeah. A lot of the art and stuff, it's...
But you know what? No, you're right. Like a majority of it, you're using it. It's just taking up a lot of space. I think we can get past the fact that it takes up a lot of space. We are all agreeing on that.
We really want to focus on how big this is.
It is, because I'd say components-wise, it takes up a fuckload of space.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I do agree. We can move on. The tiles that go on the actual board are
land
good.
tiles.
The land
Yes.
tiles, they're good. Thick cardboard. I
tiles.
didn't notice any warping really issues with anything.
Which
It's
is
'cause
smart. It's because the player boards are not cardboard. They're
not
the card stock.
Yeah, but I mean, even the main board didn't seem to really warp.
No.
Which was nice. I'm sure that was because they rounded the corners.
And it's stored stacked up basically, so it
A
can't
four-fold.
Just,
It
board.
also fills that fucking box.
Exactly.
It's a big box,
Yeah.
and it fills that box.
Yes. All the land tiles have different... the art is good.
Yeah.
For all of the land tiles. It has a bunch of different terrain. It's like ocean, forest, mountain, desert, grassland.
But then it has like a river border around everything, so it all looks like it can match.
It all fits nice.
Yeah.
Because that's also important, like gameplay stuff,
Yeah.
where you're going to be wanting to match similar land spaces for extra points and stuff
to
like that.
keep things contiguous here and there, depending on what faction you're playing, what stuff you have.
Yep.
And then it has some extra large size space tiles that are for the very end of the exploration board. And those are cool.
Yeah.
It's nice that they have like an extra, like, this Civilization game goes to space. We actually put space in the game. Not that everyone's going to see that every time. And you kind of have to really focus on it to get it.
Yes, you do.
But it's cool that that's there.
Yeah. And they function in a lot of similar ways as the land tiles. So once you get to space, like, you kind of understand what
They're
those
sort of
space tiles are going to do.
sort of off to the side and they give you a benefit. Nothing too fancy.
Nope. Art's really good all across the board. You mentioned like the art on like the little tiles is good, but like the art across the board is good. On the player boards, it's really good, unique faction art.
Yep. The cards are mostly unique except for a couple cards that are, supposed to be multiple copies, but those all look good in there. The faction.
All the tapestry cards.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
They're all unique
Except
the trap
yes.
cards, which are the only anti-whatever.
And there's not a lot of them, but there's always a surprising number in Zach's hand.
More than you would think.
So I would say the peak component in this game are all of the landmark buildings.
Yeah, and this is where you're going to hear people, like we were joking about at the start of this, complaining about
Overproduction.
and more specifically, the production may be getting in the way of the gameplay itself.
Yep.
So there's two types of buildings. There are the little
the income buildings.
The income buildings. Those are very small. They have different colors. They're not painted. It's just whatever the actual material
plastic
was.
color
Yeah.
is. They're distinct from each other.
They don't take up that much space. I am fine with those.
Yes.
Yeah, those are fine.
Those are fine.
Those are fine for me. That I feel like because I feel like some people are like everybody like these should just all be cardboard tokens, and like for me like placing a bunch of 1x1 cardboard tokens
That would suck.
That would
be fiddly as fuck.
Yeah.
And that would be not great.
Yes. But the
landmark
buildings are gigantic comparison.
They can be like what's the biggest, like a 5x5 with a corner taken out of it?
4x4, but yeah.
It's 4x4.
Yeah.
I thought one of them was a 5x5. One of them's pretty big. It might be like a 5x3 or something. There's like maybe a long one. I don't know. And it's hard to we're talking about like 5x5.
It's 4x4 because it's three squares but next to each other. I distinctly remember that. It's three squares. Three 2x2 squares.
Sure.
Yes. But it's hard to place those down, but we can get why I'm in a second.
But it's hard to imagine, like, listening to the podcast, how big those squares are. Like, they're not huge. I mean, maybe a quarter an inch square.
A pinky nail.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So it's not a huge amount of space. And like even the 4x4, the bigger ones aren't that big.
Yeah.
But they're these huge, intricately detailed painted building pieces.
Which, if they were just the 4x4 one, if it was just that big, but like around the size of the other buildings, maybe a little bit bigger, that'd be fine. But some of them are like, I want to say 6 or 7 of the income buildings stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah.
It's very tall.
Because there's like it goes all throughout civilization, all the tech periods. So you have like little armories, but then you have like a
spaceport.
Spaceport, yeah, with a rocket on it. Like huge armories and like tank factories.
Yeah.
And They're all not that discernible of what they actually are, though.
And this is one of the few areas where I feel like they kind of fall, like, normally it's really easy to tell what's what, and, like, I think it'd be easy to have, like, some kind of a color coding or something, because there's a little sideboard that you put a lot of them on.
Well, and not just that, too, but each one of the different tracks has a color associated with it, so if it was majority that would be better, I think.
But
they're not. They're
really.
just, just random colors.
Maybe,
there's no rhyme or reason.
There might be some color on them that matches to it, but not enough to make you look at that and think, oh, it's that one.
And not even their footprints are unique, because some of them have the same footprint.
Yes.
It's just, it doesn't really matter at that point, but it sort of does.
I mean, it adds a little bit of extra time to set up. Like, it could, if they were majority color for the track they belong in, it'd be easy to be like, boom, 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 those three go here, boom, 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 those three go there.
And not just that, too, but their footprint is a little muddled because...
Too small.
They are not exact. Like when we say that, we say one's a 3x3, it's really like 2.5 by 2.5.
Right.
That you put it in and it matches. For like 3x3, it's fine. But like the 2x4 versus the 2x5, if there's one of them that's that, it can get a little, you're like, is this taking up the whole thing or not? And if you sort of place it off a little bit when in your initial placement of it, you could accidentally think a square is open when it's not.
Especially with that big one that has like the 12 square footprint.
Or
that is the worst offender.
Or that it fits somewhere it doesn't, because there's like on those little grid where you're placing them, some places are impassable and you can't place there. And it'd be easy to be like, oh no, this fits in this little thing. It's like, no, because it actually hangs over into this entire other row. So yeah, they're both they manage to at the same time be too big and yet also too small in just the most inconvenient of ways.
I have seen some 3D printed like bases people have made for them that they fit into that will then exactly do the color and footprint.
That'd be great.
Yes.
That'd be great. I mean, it wouldn't solve the fact that most of them are so damn tall that they're kind of
I mean, the height
doesn't
doesn't bother me too much because no one has to care about how tall your shit is. You only care about your capital area.
Yeah.
I mean, the only
unless
thing
you're at real high level play of like, I need most buildings, you're like, I need that building more than you need that building.
Yeah.
You're not so much nitpicking over like, I can let them have that one. You don't ever want to have anyone have them.
Right.
You want all of them.
You want everything.
Yes. It's whether you can stop them from doing that or not that really matters.
Yeah.
There are some neutral ones that are based on the tech cards. Those kind of get hard to discern which ones are which because it's a little black and white square that's on the tech cards. It's already pretty small to figure out which exact one that is.
And then
but there's only 6 of them, so they might not come out that much depending on the players. And
there's you can differentiate them enough at least, but it's a little.
And they're all mostly 2x2s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for components. That covers the major complaints, and that covers how big and ridiculous and overall good quality most of the things are.
Yes, all the card quality is great. They're fun to shuffle.
Yeah, great, but too much, really, is what it is.
So,
one thing we didn't mention in components, the little outposts and cubes that we have that you use in the game, those are all good too. Not overproduced, very nice.
Yeah.
Those are the only things you actually put out on the board besides the land tiles.
And there are the resource tokens. I don't know if you mentioned those or not.
Those are kind of weird plastic.
It has the classic Stonemaier star in it.
Yes.
But as a resource now, it is not a victory point.
Correct.
Which when we first opened, we saw the stars and are like, are these victory points?
They are not.
They are not.
No, they track.
Okay, one other thing too. So it is a little bit weird. So it's double-sided board, which we forgot to mention too. One is for 2 to 3 players. And then the other one is for
4 and 5.
4 or 5, yes. The 2 to 3 player, like obviously, it's basically made into thirds. So if you're playing with 3 players,
there's 3 little islands.
Yes.
You each start on one of the islands.
It's basically full at that point.
Yeah.
When you play on the other side of the map, there are 6 spaces for everything. So if you're playing with 5 people, there is still a space left, and it really feels like Jamie wanted to have this be 6 players, and then at some point. Someone was just like,
6.
no, they drop it to 6. So
which the Tapestry expansion is in fact on his like production schedule thing that he has in his email. There is a Tapestry expansion already coming for next year, I think.
Yeah.
So, I would be shocked if it did not include a 6 player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this game really needs a 6 player, but that's something we can come to more as we talk about gameplay and player counts and things like that.
We'll get there.
Yes.
But I do see what you're saying, Zach, that it does feel weird that the 4 and 5 player board. Also, it makes for a weird balance where, like, you could, especially if you randomly draw for, like, the locations, because they're tied to spots on the board. So if you randomly drew, you could have, like, 3 people all next to each other,
And then
a blank, and then a person, and then a blank. So that they have nobody adjacent to them, which leaves them very open to expand. Whereas the poor fucker who's in the middle of the other 3 is going to be kind of hosed.
Well, not even just that too, but if you have someone that wants to like conquer other people or something like that,
and they get off to the side, it hurts their So it really exacerbates.
Or the isolationists are like, aha! Look at all this space for me that no one else can have.
Yeah.
So
it exacerbates some issues that we'll talk about a little bit later. So now to really move on to rules and rules explanations. Overall, the game's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
For the most part, on your turn.
Yeah, do that, but then we'll talk about the first turn.
Yeah. So you basically like just keep doing your action each turn until eventually you run out of resources, and then you do a harvest action.
Income action.
And basically those are like the main clock of the game.
Personal clock of the game.
Personal clock. So it's one of those games where like I could really play poorly, do my 5 incomes really fast, and be done while you guys are still doing stuff on your end.
Yes.
Which one of the weird things that kind of comes up with this, just to kind of get out of the way, is they have you start the game doing an income phase, but it's always the same no matter what for everyone.
Yeah, so it's like
there's only one difference, and that is one civilization lets you play as Tapestry card as part of the first income, and that feels like that's the only reason why this is not just set up.
Yeah, you don't just start with
and I don't know why that one couldn't just say, in setup, play a starting Tapestry card.
Yeah.
Like, instead of, because it just feels weird that, like, okay, it's first income, so you do your setup to get your board in the right spot, and then you immediately do an income. We're like, okay, now you just take resources for everything you just set up.
You don't get to play a card. You don't get to score any points because you don't have anything yet. You can't upgrade a tech because you don't have one.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, your little player board does tell you how the income steps, like which income you're on determines what you're getting.
Right.
But it is definitely weird that the first one is just this, and that everybody else does it the exact same way, and that has to be your first action.
Yeah. And in theory, you do it at the same time, roughly, because that's one of the things this game encourages you to do, is like, as soon as somebody's turn doesn't really matter for you anymore, to start your turn.
Yeah.
Like, so that to keep the
Which
game
I do
moving.
appreciate that they say that.
They even mention that in the rules.
Yes.
Right. That's what I was saying. The game tells you to do that.
Game tells you to do that.
So basically that first round, it's like, everybody's like, all right, so we're all taking income, right? Cool. All right, let's all do our income.
Yeah.
And it's like, this could have just been set up, but whatever.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it is really pretty straightforward. Like, you choose one of the 4 tech tracks to move up on, you pay the requisite goods, and then you do whatever it says. So, like, if you want to move up, like, the 4 tracks are military, tech, science, and exploration. Exploration lets you explore. So you move around on the board, you reveal new tiles.
You get tiles, you get to put those tiles out.
Which are separate actions. So you, like, get some tiles and you have them in front of you. And then when you go to explore and on the board, you can choose one of the tiles you have to place out there.
And they're all open information of what people have tiles on.
This science is kind of a weird one that I'll come back to. I want to give a quick overview of these, and then we can cycle back around, Jeff. Tech gets you, like, the tech cards that are off to the side, and they basically move through different steps where it's like the initial idea, and then like preliminary, and then like the advanced.
The initial idea of time travel.
Right.
They're very abstract tech cards.
Yeah.
So when you first get them, they don't really do anything for you. But then as you move them up into that first tier, you unlock something when it happens, and then when it gets to the third tier, that unlocks again. But then that's basically it. Military is for moving around and giant air quotes attacking people.
Yeah.
This is not an area control game.
No. And it's really...
I mean, it is an area control game, but it's not.
It is not a focus.
It's not a focus.
It is limited.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is also definitely not... Some people might... a lot of Civ games are 4X games. This is not a 4X game.
Yeah. So
there's at best 2 X's in this game.
And it's definitely it's an area control game, but not a dudes on a map game.
Yeah.
Yes. So combat's really simplified.
And that's where the 2 of the 6-siders come in.
Yeah. You roll a die, and that kind of determines a little bit what happens in combat. And then really, if you win, then you lay your opponent's piece on its side. And then that's all that will ever happen there.
Or you put your own there if no one else is there.
Yeah.
Because you can still conquest empty spots.
Yep. And you can conquest your own spots again. I
realized that.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
That's why you put those land tiles out with the resources on them, because you want to conquest them.
Never mind. Yeah, because you use the conquest to do that. It's not part of the exploration.
One of the die sides is get the bonus on the tile.
Yep. Yeah, and then the science track is the kind of weird one. You roll the science die a lot, which is basically the other 3 tracks wrapped around a 12-sided die.
Yep.
And
it's all of the tracks.
All of
including
science. Yeah, so there's 3 of each of them. And whichever one you roll is what shows up. Or
Yeah, you go up on
get
that track.
an advancement on that. And some of the symbols on the science track show that you get the advancement but don't get to do anything on the new
You don't
space.
get the benefit or the
so
bonus.
So you move up, but then you get nothing.
And then as you move further up the science track, you start getting the benefit
Yes.
as well. So
Yeah.
the science track can almost double boost you.
Yeah.
But because it's a random roll, you can't like guarantee that like, oh, as I go up science track, I can make myself go up exploration.
Yep.
You know,
And
sometimes you might get lucky and it works out that way.
Or you might go on to where, say, you really wanted to go up one on military on a turn, and then you roll military, you go up it, and you can't do the thing you really wanted to
Yep.
do. So some of them can help, some of it can hurt.
Yes. Those are the 4 main tracks.
And each one of these tracks, also having a resource, is also tied to an income building.
Right.
Houses, armories, markets, and farms.
Yeah, so exploration uses like the little house symbol.
Yep.
That's one of your things you can put out there.
And that one's tied to food.
Science is a slightly different kind of house that's tied to like population. That's little people.
Yep.
So exploration is tied to farms. Science is tied
To
to
house.
houses and
Workers.
manpower.
Yep.
Yeah. Tech is
Markets and
markets,
gold.
which is like a little gold hut thing.
Yep.
And then military is a different kind of red hut. That's
Armories.
swords.
Yeah.
And
I'm just looking at
Culture.
the symbols because the
Yes.
symbols
Oh,
are all
yeah.
basically a slightly different small building.
yes, of different colors
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
Very easy
Different
to
color and different symbol,
Yeah.
so it's easy to differentiate.
Yeah, like we said, the art and graphic design on it's really good. They're all very clearly differentiable.
Yes.
And the symbols, once you understand the iconography, makes a lot
Yes,
of sense.
it does. But you
There's
look
just
at the
a lot
board
of
and
it.
you're like, oh, this is a whole bunch of what the fuck.
But it's repeated very
Exactly.
often in
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. You only really need to explain like a fourth of the boards, and then people can intuit everything else.
Mhm.
Yep.
All those different tracks are divided up into 4 sections. And as you move from the first into the third, or into the second into third, third into fourth, that's where you get those bigger special buildings we were talking
Landmark
about, the
buildings.
landmark buildings.
If
That,
you're the first person to get
Yeah.
there.
Well-
But it also starts costing more as you get to those higher and higher levels, but they give you more stuff too.
Yeah,
right.
The first 3 spaces are a wild. The second 3 spaces are that specific resource
And a wild.
and
a
a wild. And then it's
2 of that resource.
And a wild. And then, no, it's 1 resource and 2 wilds, and then it's 2 resources.
That's
Yep.
right.
2 of that specific
Yes.
resource.
And then if you ever get to the end, you basically more or less stop. There is a thing like pretty much at the end of all of them. If something would push you up and you're already at the end, you just get points.
Yeah.
There's achievements in the game, taking over that very center island,
Yep.
conquesting 2 people, knocking over 2 people's outposts,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think hitting that end barrier.
Yeah, completing an advancement track.
And depending on what your player count is, how many points they're worth, and how many slots
yeah.
there are that can earn that achievement.
Yeah, because it's usually I think like 1 less than the number of players. So
Mhm.
like somebody's not getting one.
Usually, yeah.
And usually a lot of people don't get them, but at most, not everyone's going to get them.
yeah.
And there are some rare occasions where it lets you get a second civilization game or second civilization card,
Yes,
which I have not seen.
I have had that happen.
I've had that happen because you have to go to basically to the end of military, or you need a tapestry card that lets you
Yep.
do that.
Yep. Those are the only 2 that let you do it.
And most of the civilization cards have a bonus thing that's like, if you get this later in the game, because certain civilizations will not work if you get them real late.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. If you draw this, just get another one.
Yeah.
It's too late.
yeah.
Or they give you a very big bonus on
Mhm.
or leg up.
So game proceeds like that. You're going choosing one of the 4 tracks, moving up, doing whatever it says, and then whenever you run out of resources to where you can't do that anymore, you do your income, you get all your income stuff down, score some points,
Play a tapestry card.
play a tapestry card, and then it comes back around. You do a bunch of actions until you run out of resources, do an income, so on and so forth until eventually everybody has reached the end of their done their 5th income, and then that's the end of the game, and you total up all your points. One of the things that's really important to realize with this game is it's got a point curve. Like, so the first time you income, you'll be like, I got 4 points, and you'll be like, great. That doesn't feel like much.
On a
And you're-
board that says, not only does it go around to 100, and then it has marks for like 2, 3, and 400.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got 4.
Yeah.
Great. Just add 100 more times, and then we're good.
Right. Well, or what'll happen sometimes is somebody will have like a really good Civ or Tapestry card or something where maybe they get like 10
And you're like,
in their first income, and you get 4, and you're like, they've more than doubled my score. I'm so screwed so early. Now, those points are drops in the bucket because the game ramps up to where eventually you're going to be scoring like 30 points.
and then you're like, you only got 30 points?
Yeah. And so you're going to just race around in those last incomes and score a lot more points, unless you do really, really bad, in which case I guess you could still get like 10 points.
You can.
In the 4th or 5th income. But
you could just income, and then just get nothing.
It depends on what civilization you play.
That's true.
to some extent. So, yeah, let's... I think that pretty much covers rules and rules explanation. We're starting to drift into gameplay.
The only rules thing, when conquesting, we had mentioned this in components a little bit, but there can only ever be 2 people's things on any one space. Once there's 2 on there, that space is dead to the world. You can never interact with it ever again. So remembering that for the whole, that's why it's not really a dudes on a map game. You interact with a square twice, and then that's it.
And not just that too, but when you conquer it, you just get it unless the opponent has a trap card, in which case they keep it and then nobody else can get it because you don't just
knock yours over.
Yeah, you don't
attacking.
remove your outpost, you just knock it over. So
yeah. And you get a resource.
Yeah. Yeah, so real quick, before we actually formally move over to gameplay, just really, really fast, was there any rules or anything that you guys felt was confusing to learn and or teach? Anything that later on, even, teaching it to more of the group after you played your 2-player game, anything? I can't remember anything. Granted, it's been a couple weeks since we played. It took us a little while to get to the review itself, but I don't remember anything specifically standing out as difficult to learn or that needed explanation or that I didn't get.
The only thing I would say is the victory point symbol is the
laurels
around something, and it felt like people weren't understanding that anytime something has laurels around it during the income phase when you would score points, you score it for those. Or if you go on an advancement track and you go to that, you're going to get victory points for whatever that is.
Yeah, so if it's like one of the income buildings, you score for every income building you've played of that type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or how many Tapestry cards you have, or how many texts you have, or whatever it is that says how far you've gone on an advancement track. It's so sometimes people just don't understand that that's what that is. And usually when you're doing your income after you play your Tapestry card, the next person will generally go because, like you said, that turn doesn't. I'm not involved in that anymore, so I'll just
unless there's a very specific Tapestry card.
Well, I mean,
will mess someone up.
After the Tapestry is when they start getting their money or upgrading their tech or not. When they start getting the resources and scoring points, they're usually on their own. So unless someone is watching them, they could miss something or misunderstand something.
Right.
The science die, the X versus the not X.
Yeah.
You'll move up, but you don't get the benefit, or you move up and you get the benefit.
Right. And then could also get the optional thing too. Because there are optional ones that on some advancements you go up.
The bonus, thank you.
And so, yeah, it's a little couple things like that, but it's little stuff like that.
Yeah. Right on. Then let's move over to some gameplay, because as is often the case, rules and gameplay often start to kind of blend together.
Do we want to talk about anything specific?
I think a good spot to start with gameplay, because we didn't really touch on them during rules, is just to and kind of rip the Band-Aid off, because this is another one of those, issues with this game. Let's talk about the different factions, the different civilizations, and, like the balance and abilities and
Tapestry cards.
Yeah.
So let's start at the civilizations,
because that's what we get first.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, civs are the first thing you get.
So there's like 16.
Yes.
And they have a wide variety of abilities they're very
unique.
Yeah, they're very unique. And so
they're definitely the most unique I've seen in any civilization type game.
Yeah.
They play very different. It's not just like get a little bonus here, get a little bonus there. Their civilization card usually has a special track or something on it that is extremely different than what any other player has.
Yep. So like, for instance, just picking one randomly, the Futurists, their ability is they start 4 spaces ahead on all of the tech tracks. So they start just after the advancement from that first tier to the second tier. They don't get the building from it, so whoever is the first after them to pass gets that building. But they start significantly advanced. So like a good example that is on that science track, they skip the first 2, move up, and don't get a bonus. All of the rest of their science die are move and get the bonus.
Except for the very last one, but yes.
Yeah, the very end, but that's like...
Yeah.
They also get double the income from everyone else during setup.
So they start with a ton of resources.
Yeah, 2 of everything instead of 1 of everything, which makes sense in the sense that for them to move up at all costs them 2 resources instead of 1, unlike everybody else. So they can theoretically move 4, just like everybody else can move 4, and then they would have to, unless they gain other resources. It's just that each of those movements is going to give you a lot more benefit.
Yeah, they're much more powerful.
They basically start with 24 free resources worth of advantage over everyone else.
Yes.
They're on the 4th spot of every track, and they start with 8 resources.
Yeah.
Now, and to be fair, at the very least, they don't get any of the bonus of the initial stuff, which I remember when you played as the Futurist, you're like, I don't get an easy tech. Like, up until you move 2 turns, two more times on tech, you aren't going to get a tech
card.
Yeah. But that's fine.
But you already have all the other fucking bonuses in the game.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. We found out that it didn't matter.
You move twice on science.
Yeah.
And you get to roll twice and keep the bonus.
Exactly.
And so there's 2 of your 4 movements, and they also move something else twice. So there's your 4 movements, and you still have 4
and you've
resources.
only spent 4 resources, yeah.
Yeah, and you're still able to then go do other things that can all be very powerful. So.
But on the other end, there are some civilizations that are terrible.
Yeah.
The Alchemists, which I think Zach played once.
Yeah, we played on our first game, and I won by 1 point.
Yes.
We have played a lot of games where I've beat you by 1 point.
Yes, we have.
But what do the Alchemists do, Jeff?
You can push your luck, and usually you push your luck and it's over, and you're literally your whole benefit.
Well, so what it is you
push your luck to go up on a tech track
without getting its benefit. So it's like, I'm moving up on those tech tracks, but like I'm not getting the benefit. Yeah.
And you really want the benefit because all of these tracks are really good.
Yeah.
And then if you bust, then you get you do get a good of any resource. So if you wanted to, like at the end of each game, you just are only using it to get like just an extra resource. If you don't want to accidentally go up on something, you could just be like, all right, well, I'm just going to get the resource instead. And then you're like, oh, my track is, or my civilization is, I get a resource. Hooray.
Yeah.
So no, I think I only won on that one due to our inexperience with the game.
Yeah, probably.
So
I had the nomads that let you put your income buildings out on the board instead of outposts. So you're able to kind of take more land, and then you get benefits depending if you use an actual outpost or an income building to take that hex instead of the normal outposts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And that one can almost backfire on you if you're not careful with it, because placing those not on your player board means you're not going to score victory points for a lot of the things you score on your player board.
Yeah.
And you're not filling your squares, which get you free resources, which let you take more action.
Some civilizations will want to use that capital board, which we didn't really talk much about at all. Actually,
no. I mean, we can talk about it here, so it's fine.
Yeah,
part of the ridiculous player board area.
Yeah. Yes, you have a capital city that is a whole bunch of squares. Some are filled, some are not. But when
9 by 9,
9 by 9s, there are
divided into 3. But it's like a Sudoku
there's 9.
board.
I don't know how many squares are actually.
It's also 9. It's 9 big squares, and then each.
No. He's talking about how many of them are filled in already.
Oh,
yeah.
An amount
like
of
20
like
something. I thought it was 20 something.
Might be 20 something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's all random, and when you get those is where you start on the board. but generally they're the same. It's just where the things are on your board that you can't put stuff.
There is one or two of those boards where like that 4x2 can't.
It only has like one spot.
Yeah, it only has one spot where it can actually be used fully. Because those big buildings you can just
hang off the side.
They can hang off on the side, but yeah.
Yeah, the 4x4x2x2x2x2 like
okay,
it has 4 2 sides.
It does.
And 2 4 sides.
That's a terrible way of describing it, but
there's no good way to describe this over audio. There are 3 2x2 squares together like an L.
Yes.
That's a fine way to describe it.
Yes. And there's only like 2 boards that piece actually fits on.
It fits on all of the boards in at least one spot. Some of the boards have multiple like ways they can do it.
But all of the capital boards you can hang off the edge if you want to.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing ever has to be like on it. Probably because of that.
Oh, yeah.
But
you want to, because if you're hanging it off the edge of the board, you're not covering those spaces. Yes. There's reasons to cover those.
Which get you victory points during income.
Yeah, rows and columns that are complete get you victory points.
Yep.
And then if you ever fill an entire one of the main 3x3 grids, then you get a free resource.
Yes, immediately. Yeah. So.
Which can be huge.
Yeah.
I don't know that the individual squares inside the capitals are 3x3. Hey, we have them right here.
They are 3x3. Yeah. So like this one right here can only fit, the 4x4 can only go like that guy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them, yeah.
Yeah. So you're depending on what faction you get, you're going to be doing some things very differently, and some of them are no-brainers. Like the Futurists. You could give that to a new player, and actually, in some ways, that'd be a great one. Like, if I played this now with somebody who'd never played, I could probably hand them the Futurists, and it might be a close game.
You take the Futurists, and then you give them that other one about being the highest up on the
Architects.
Architects.
Yeah. No, the Chosen. The Chosen is that one.
Yeah.
The Architects also... We'll have to get to combinations of civilizations at some other time, or we're just going to talk about that forever. But the Futurists you do not give to a new Tapestry player. You give it to a new board game player. Because if you hand Futurists to any decent board game player, they will wipe the floor with you.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Supposedly, according to a rough data set on BGG that got posted the other day, they have a 25% win rate.
Which is insane.
Which, considering there's 16 factions.
Yeah.
But it was weird. I don't know. I didn't get to really go through that. I was at work.
But I mean...
Because I know they said the expected value was like 33%, and they were hitting like 44% or something. Like, it was weird.
They have just under a 24% win rate deviation. But the next civilization is less than half that.
Is 10%.
10%.
Yeah. So they do seem to win a huge amount of games. I didn't get, like I said, I didn't get to dive into it and see how much they broke it down by player counts too. Like Futurists would be stupid powerful in a 2-player game. Yes. I think it gets less powerful the more players there are.
And there are entire combinations of civilizations that one will win and one will lose.
Yeah.
There is you literally don't have a chance.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and for curiosity's sake, what is the worst faction for winning?
That would be the Traitors with a negative, almost as positive as the Futurists, with a negative almost 21% win rate deviation.
Yeah. So
followed by the Alchemists with their push your luck tech track thing.
But once you get outside of the Futurists and whoever's right behind them and the Alchemist and Traders at the other end, everybody else
starts to level out more.
Really leveled out.
A little bit. To
the realm that because the problem with this data set in particular, the one on BGG, is there's no data at all on skill levels. And to pretend that there's not people who are better at board games than other people.
And that would be something that is impossible to actually track with any statistic at
exactly.
all.
So you have to be careful taking just raw stats like this.
But it is over thousands of games.
How many total plays did they have?
1,800.
That's almost thousands, yeah.
But I mean, if... yes, it's technically not 2,000. But again, if you look at any given set, some of these 2-player games, like, yeah, there's going to be, if you play a 2-player game with certain factions, one's going to win, one's going to lose. Like, I don't give a shit who's, like,
Chosen Futurist
I could
is
teach
a
a
broken
10-year-old. Yeah, I could.
combo.
If I play the Chosen, I could give a 10-year-old the Futurist, and I'm probably going to get housed.
Because the Chosen's whole power is being ahead of any other. They get points and resources based on them being ahead on tech tracks, which they start 4 behind on every single track against Futurists.
Yeah.
And if you played with a competent player in that combination and you were the Chosen, the Futurists all they would do is wait to see what you advanced on,
Exactly.
and then they advance on it
Yep.
to make sure you never get your ability.
Yes.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think in the middle realm, especially looking at, because the vast majority of those plays are solos and 2s. There's
Yes.
a few 3s and 4s.
And 5s.
And some 5s. But it steadily goes down, which of course it will, because it's a lot harder to get together a 5-player game of fucking anything
Yeah.
than to get a solo or a 2-player game. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see, like, Jamie, I know, has also been collecting stats. I'm real curious to see what they do with an expansion for this. We're kind of just all over the place though here.
I mean, that's fine. This is gameplay, right?
Yeah,
We're talking about civilizations and how some of the civilizations
Yeah.
are
so they're
more
all
powerful
yeah,
than others in a very significant way.
And so
they
that
are
means,
all over the place.
And so that means sort of like how in Catan, like with your placement, you can if you place badly in that game and someone places really good in that game, you could be housed before you even started.
Yeah, I mean, initial placement
yes.
in Catan is like 80% of the
Exactly.
game, but you have control over it.
I know. No, I'm just trying to relate the
Right.
fact that like this 80% of the game could be determined on by what faction you get, depending on what faction you get. And
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the only thing I'm still hesitant on this, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the factions are not unbalanced because they are. I'm
Yes.
not trying to say they're not.
Yeah.
there is also a very good average score that people played with on those that is
Yeah.
fairly good to look at.
Yeah.
With
The other-
Futurists being at the top
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Traders being at the very bottom.
Yes. Which, I mean, duh. The people who score less win less.
yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Those things should always be correlated. I think that, damn it, and I lost it. You threw in that little tidbit, Jeff, and I lost what I was going to say.
So I win. That's what I'm hearing.
I think there are some factions in this game that just should not be played with to have it be a competitive game.
No, I know what I was going to say. So in all the games we've played,
Mhm.
even so granted, we threw the Futurists out after I dominated with them.
Yeah.
Did either of you play with them ever
No,
again? in
no.
any
We never
other
played
place?
with them
Okay.
again because
No.
we're like,
Well, because also we wanted to try all of the ones that we could.
and we have played with every faction in the game.
Yes.
More than once.
Yep.
Some.
And most of the games, even the game I won with Futurists didn't like blow everyone away. Like, it was a clear, strong advantage throughout the game. Like, I never felt like I wasn't going to win, but
We would have to look at the score on that one.
Yeah.
Because I vaguely remember that one being Adrian's winning and everyone else is playing the game.
Yes.
oh, see, I remember that being like, Adrian is like winning.
Uh-huh. No, I
Everybody
seem to-
but Jeff is playing, and poor Jeff is losing.
I seem to remember
Yeah.
you winning. I think so. What I remember is
I scored a shit ton on the final round.
Yes, you scored a lot, and so you were like 80 points above like Leander, and then Leander was about 80 points ahead of me, and then Jeff was an amount behind that or whatever it was.
Because I was playing the architects that needed landmarks to fill the capital.
And I
you
took all of the landmarks.
because you started higher up on every tech track.
So it was a clear delineation between like there was first with a lot of wiggle room, second a lot of wiggle room, third wiggle room, and then fourth.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it definitely was not tightly compacted. But every game since
Other than that has been a lot closer.
No,
no,
not in
there's
any way, shape, or form.
There's always been a clear winner except for the game that Jeff and I played.
Yes, which was the 2-player first game.
Like, you guys was the closest, but I felt like a lot of them were much closer.
I played the Craftsmen, which are counted as the second best, and I lapped 2 people, I think.
Yeah, that's true. You did crush in that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had
remember that
100 points more than the second and third player.
Yeah, maybe there wasn't as big a difference as you remember between like first and second or whatever, but like between first and fourth, was always a complete blowout.
Yeah.
Or first and third or first and fifth, right?
Is there anything else we want to talk about gameplay? We've been talking about a lot of the unbalance for a while. Is there anything else?
Literally all we've talked about is civilizations.
Yeah.
In gameplay.
I mean,
we haven't even touched tapestry cards.
but we've touched so we haven't touched tapestry cards. But I mean, some of this is not a lot to touch. Like, I mean, we can talk a little bit about it, but
I would say tapestry cards is worth talking about as much as civilization cards because they are just as unbalanced.
Because I
don't want to talk about every unique. There's so many fucking tapestry
we're not
cards.
doing that. All we'll say is that, like you said, they're all unique, and because of that, there are some that are clearly better.
Yes.
In general, or clearly better in specific instances for you, and because you draw them randomly, and it's not any sort of like draw 2 and then keep 1. It's all about, whatever cards you get. Obviously,
you get a draw.
And there are spaces for you to draw tapestry. So
the second place on every one lets you get a tapestry card, whether through its main thing or as a bonus. So you can always get some.
Yeah. Yes. There's always
before your first income.
Yeah, before your first income. But some of them are going to be better, and then some of them are just one-time bonuses. Some of them will be an effect your next era
when played versus this era.
Yeah.
Versus.
Yeah. And so there are some that work really well for some people that, and others that you're like looking at this and I'm like, these are useless. I don't care about any of these. And
they affect every single part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They touch every part of the game.
Well, and then especially when you consider trap cards that can just hose somebody who's like, their whole goal is to like conquer things. And
there's only 7 of them.
There's only 7. And even if you have.
They show up an amazing amount of the time, especially in Zach's hands.
But if that's all you have, then
it sucks to be that guy too.
If you play it, then you get like 10 points or whatever. But as we saw, like when you win by 200, like if the winning score is like 250, 10 points doesn't usually mean a lot.
Much.
Yeah.
And if that's all you're getting in your hands, great, no one can conquer you. But unless you are playing to that, or you have a faction that really plays to that strength, it's not gonna. Like you can't take advantage of the tapestry playing cards.
No, but it could definitely thwart somebody who's like, if you're playing on the 4 to 5 player side and you are directly adjacent to the guy who needs to conquer, and he just can't conquer you because you keep having to randomly have trap cards.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't help you as much, but it cripples his entire game.
No, you're not wrong. So then that means the other person who is not choosing to benefits, because of that.
Right.
So, which obviously in a multiplayer game like this, that's going to happen.
Well,
two people start messing with each other. The third person will usually rise because of that.
Yeah.
But you can't, there's a limit to how much you can fuck with each other because there's only so much space.
And I think that's part of it, is that you can't really fuck with each other, but this lets you super fuck with somebody.
It lets you poke at someone like 2 or 3 times, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
But once you've sort of conquered that spot and done what you've done there, you don't really need to do anything else with it. It's not like you're getting any benefit there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're really losing anything either.
No, but if you're the guy who like needs to conquer, every time you go to conquer somebody, they happen to have a trap card.
Yes, but my example was you getting attacked, which has nothing to do with attacking.
You getting attacked doesn't fucking matter.
No.
I was just talking about like, if you have trap cards, you can break the other guy's strategy again through no bad play on his part. Like, he just didn't know that you happen to draw a bunch of fucking trap cards.
Yeah. So you sort of have to play with the expectation. Anytime I attack somebody, do you have how many? You have 8 tapestry cards. All of them are going to be trap cards. You just have to expect that.
There's only 7 in the deck, but all 8 of those are trap cards.
Exactly.
I bought 2 games for this one cheat. So that tapestry cards can wildly swing everything. Like, I had one that was, every time you guys move up on military track, I just get points. I have no interest in military, but you guys are really going at each other. I'm getting 3 points every time you guys are going up on that track and trying to conquer each other. I remember getting like 20 points off of that one tapestry card, which is nuts.
I mean, it's a lot of points, but again, in a game that goes to 150 easily to over 200, 10% of your points from that, it's not a strong card.
No. But where most tapestry cards like printed get you, 6 to 10.
Trap cards get you 10, yeah. Like I think 10's a good baseline for you just expect to get 10. So yes, getting 20 is great.
Yes.
It's double what you would normally get off a tapestry.
My big issue with the game is people not realizing how extremely important income buildings are.
Yeah.
You have 5 of each of them, and every time you uncover one, you get either a resource or some sort of ongoing victory point condition.
Yep.
And
if you don't do that in the first, if you don't uncover some of those in the first or the second or third income, or but by then it's really going to hurt you, because if you're not getting the resources, you're not building an engine that helps you get farther along the tracks.
So why does that bother you, Jeff?
Because people on the track, on the military tracks or whatever, you have options. You can either conquest or you can take an income building. Taking an income building is almost always way better than whatever that other benefit is. Either getting a conquest or getting a tech card or getting a science die that doesn't count, or putting down a hex land piece on the board. Getting that income building is almost universally better because it happens so early that benefit is going to help you extremely through the rest of the game.
I still don't I don't know what's wrong with that.
It gives you choices, but there's one that's clearly better than the other, and it's
taking income building in this game is almost always.
I don't think that's a problem, because a key part of a good strategy in this game is knowing when to not take the building. Like
you should never not take the building.
I don't agree with that. I definitely think there are multiple times that can come up in any given game where somebody should not take the building because the other option is better. Yes, the building should be your default. And I think for new players, if it's not explained to them how important buildings are, then they might not realize that. But yes, your default should be the building.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with there being when you come up in this situation, this is the default, but look at the board state and maybe this other time do it. Now, some of the ones... It
just feels like a noob trap is all it feels like.
Like I'd say the first, at the ends of all four of the tracks, the third one you get to right before you cross into that next tier, those are all a decision point.
Yeah.
Those should all be buildings. I can't imagine a situation where you're actually going to benefit.
I mean, and that's why I listed all four of those and said you should take the building when I was making this argument.
I could definitely see why rolling and getting the bonus at the midpoint of the science tier better than getting that building.
I would only roll that die if whatever the benefit I was going to get was going to be an income
building.
You
don't know what benefit you're going to get.
You do.
Yeah,
because I know where I'm going to be next on all of those tracks.
Yeah, but you don't know which of the four tracks you're going to roll.
I could see specific instances where there would be times when those would be better, but it would be like a 90% you would want to take the building, 10%. So I agree with Adrian in that instance of like you're saying, ideally you'd want to take these, but there are specific times when you would want to get this other thing.
Yeah. I think all of the problems to have with this game, I'm shocked that this is one. Like, I didn't expect anybody to have a problem with the fact that you occasionally get to make this decision and you should usually choose buildings.
It's just a bad decision. Like, those income buildings, especially that early, are just so good because you're getting 5 resources or 6 resources instead of another 4 resources. And resources are just so extremely important. Income is so important. That's why those tech cards there's only like 8 of them in the whole deck. The tech cards that have the 4 bottom and the 4 top income building rewards are like, grab those as soon as possible.
That would be one of the, look at that. There's that tech for it. Yeah. No. Yeah,
if you had that tech out, I guess.
That, like I said, specific instances where the other ones make sense, but it would usually be in
but
either
my next action could be getting that tech card if someone else didn't.
Yeah, but then somebody else probably would.
But then I have the guaranteed one that I don't have to upgrade a tech card.
But you're gonna upgrade a tech card at the end of your income. That if you don't have another tech card, or you don't want to upgrade whichever one you could grab.
But I'd still rather have the guaranteed one with the upgrade. Maybe.
I'm just saying I can see a time when you wouldn't want to do that.
10% of the time.
That's literally what I said. Yes.
I mean, even 10% of the time I think might be a little bit low. I think it. But I think, again, that's like I said, I think part of a good strategy is realizing that, yeah, this is a 9 times out of 10, this is good move. Realizing when that 10th time is the one time you should do the other, that's part of good strategy. Yeah, I could see maybe it feels like a noob trap, but I mean, I love Food Chain Magnate, which that entire game is a noob trap.
Turn 0 is a noob trap.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I mean,
there's so many things.
Catan's a noob trap with experienced players because they know the first fucking pick of where you pick your starting settlements is huge because it's going to determine everything. Half that game is that first decision.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that in games as long as the people teaching the game, make sure to let the noobs know this is a very important decision.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate. You can lose, in this case, like turn 3 or 4 when you get to that point.
Yeah.
Food chain, you can lose turn 1.
Or you just say that buildings are important, do not neglect them.
Yeah.
Like,
so I'm fine with that.
Don't spread yourself too thin across
No.
all of these different tracks.
Yeah,
Don't
definitely
try and
hammer
be
1 or 2.
Don't try and be a jack of all trades in this in any way, shape, or form.
No, definitely. That's
Jack of all trades is master of none.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Because I was going to say is that because especially tier 4 on all of these have so many huge abilities that if you're trying, like you need to get to at least one of them on one of the tracks in order to have a chance. And usually, depending on which one you're getting up, like if you get up to that on science, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get up on the other ones because of that. Or exploration is going to give you a lot of stuff, or tech is you're going to get a lot of tech cards, which will probably let you get it. Military is going to let you get a lot of spaces, which is going to get you a lot of points. So there is a lot of good things there that you're like, I want this. I also want this. And then you look at your board and you're like, I'm not getting any resources. I'm not getting any good advancements. And watching Adrian get this that lets him get all of these other things, and you're like, God damn it.
I just wish the income tracks didn't have buildings on top of them so you could actually see what all the tracks are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For as well as some of the graphic, and for as much space as everything takes up, like just make the pictures somewhere smaller so that you can just double layer.
I mean, it makes sense why they're covered because it's to help.
It's common that as you remove them,
But just being able to tell how important that track is deceiving with all of those
because it's an engine building game, and if you don't
look at your tracks,
exactly,
you're like new player, take it in your hands, hold it, look at the tracks, understand the tracks.
They're not just buildings, they're buildings and
because and what it is that usually it's because I get an income building and I get to put it on my capital board. That doesn't get me much usually. Maybe it'll let you, get one extra resource,
get a free wild with the one that had 9 already covered.
Or, exactly. Or now I get an extra point or 2 whenever I'm scoring on those. But it's the fact that you're uncovering the resources and the other scoring opportunities.
And maybe there's a tapestry card that lets you score double on your capital thing for all the rows you have.
Yeah. Something else that kind of amazes me in this game, the science track is not as powerful as it seems.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be crazy powerful because in the first 2 tiers of it, the first 6 spaces, you get to move up 4 other tracks. Granted, 2 of them you don't get the bonuses, so that hurts a little.
But you would usually take the building.
The second time take the building, but the first time, so you move up 1 without a bonus. But that's your do that your first action. You start something else up, and then as you get later, the later abilities, some of those are really powerful abilities. But it is amazing to me that I don't think I've really seen anybody dominate on the science. The closest was me as the futurist who started past all the advance and don't get the bonus bullshit.
In Zach and I's very first game, I went up on science, and that's the only reason I was
close.
1 point behind Zach.
Well, and really one reason why is that science lets you go up on the other ones, but it's at the expense of going up on science. So you go up on science, which lets you go up on something else, but you're still only gaining the benefit of 1 track. If that makes sense.
I guess that makes sense. That's a good way to think about it.
Up until you get to the end when you're like, this will let me go up on 2 tracks or going up on 1.
It lets you repeat a space that you're already on.
Or go back on a track
and then get huge.
Yes. So there are some really good benefits up there, but a lot of the roll of die, it's,
I never really thought about that. Yeah. The roll of die isn't 2 benefits. It's 1 benefit just on a random track.
Yeah.
Which may or may not be a track you want it to be on, so...
Or what you do is there's a tapestry card that lets you roll a die, and then you get to go up on. Everybody goes up on that track.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about
and
this
then
experience.
You get the benefit, but nobody else does, and that fucks up the other people so much. That,
especially when it comes to real late game.
Yeah, it comes real late game, and they were both really needing that spot.
20 to 30 points was fucked by this 1 die roll.
Or 4 turns were stopped because I had to like moving up on it. Let me get a resource or something else.
I spent the rest of my game getting those points instead of that one move on the track.
Or I wasted half of a turn, half of an entire era because I had planned everything out, starting with step 1, and then you're like, "Here, I'll do step 1 for you," and you're like, "No, I needed to do step 1. You can't do it for me."
I cackle and I laugh right now as you explain this.
And it was a Tapestry card that was a 1 out of 4 chance that moved everyone back 30 points.
Yeah. Except for Adrian.
Except for Adrian.
I laugh really hard right now because it's hilarious in retrospect.
It was. I mean,
I felt shitty in the moment because it wasn't.
To be fair, as much as I hated it, I did enjoy that you fucked us over so much by just one die roll. I like that.
Oh my god!
You were just like, whoopsie! Like you just. It's one of the things you're just like, and you walk by some bikes and you accidentally knock, and all the bikes came tumbling down. And you're like, that's thousands of dollars of damage.
Well, even better, especially because it's snowboard season. It's like somebody goes and they get their skis off the rack, and then it just knocks the whole rest of the ride. It's like I was just getting my skis. This wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt shitty in the moment because it wasn't a skillful play. Yeah. It was, I played a card that let me roll a die and I got the 1 out of 4 chance.
The technology track is what it was.
Yep. So
it was to get me that fucking income building and you denied it to me.
Yeah.
I wish I had, I didn't track the games we played. I didn't log them, which I don't log most of my games these days. I wish I had logged these, and I also wish I'd kept track of what factions we had all played. Because we've played, or people in games we've been in, we've seen all of the factions in play. But I wish I could see and go compare who won and who placed where. Like, look at all the games we played and just rank everybody by their score like it was one big game, and then see where it fell with like that sheet that they posted on BGG to see like where we fell across all that. Because we had some weird games where weird shit happened. Like, you know, maybe that weird Tapestry combination that set you guys back let one of the lower tier ones pull off a victory. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I had more to compare to those kind of things. More raw data.
There is a comparison of every faction versus every other faction on that BGG page as well.
But that's just in like a 1v1, right?
They're like win percentage or something versus the others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, that's, I mean,
matchup counts versus score comparisons versus win rate comparisons.
Right, but that's only in a like, futurists versus alchemists, right?
Well, I think it's, I don't know, because there's so much that's hard to tell there. Like, you know, who knows if in one of the 5-player games where futurists crushed in that and they reported a crazy high score, maybe they were playing something wrong that gave futurists an even bigger boost. Like, there are things you can play wrong in this game. There are things you can fuck up.
Yes.
You know,
which would be smoothed out in the many games reported of that.
Right.
Each faction was played nearly 200 times, so it's hard to say that one game with someone screwing up is going to matter.
Well, but I mean, I don't even know if those, like, how many, you know, it could be very conceivable that a couple bought this game and the two of them are 100 of the 2-player. I mean, it's probably an exaggeration, but a lot of them, people sometimes crush a game, like a lot. People do their 10x10s and just play the shit out of games.
But you can't just hand wave away this data that it's saying either.
No. I think
it shows what we all know, that there is some unbalance here.
There's an extreme amount of unbalance in this.
I personally have not played enough to say for sure that the futurists are 24% beyond standard deviation powerful victories. Like, I've played enough to say that they're a damn good faction. But again, I would want to play more and see them constantly win
I would not. You can play that with Megan or something, because I will not be playing in that game against the futurists.
Yeah.
I would say laying these 5 civilizations out in front of me, that these will not make its way back into the box for future plays.
See, I don't know. I think cutting out a third of the factions
I could see these two. Definitely. Traders.
The high end.
The very high and the very low.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, because the Militants has not performed.
I played the Militants and I lost, so obviously the data is wrong.
Yes.
Exactly. See, Jeff, your data's bullshit. Everything goes in.
But I've also played the Craftsman and fucking destroyed everyone.
All I'm saying is fake news. That's all.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
This is a game, though, where there's so much going on that attributing it solely to the faction is, especially because, again, getting the better tech cards, making the smart choice about buildings, getting the right tapestry cards. There's so many other things that are also drastically off the charts that it's hard to say that maybe people who've played the Futurists just tend to understand to do other things better, or people
also that they start with 20 free resources.
The
over
Futurists are
else.
great fucking. I'm not saying the Futurists aren't the best faction in the group. Like, I will always take the Futurists if I had a choice.
You won't anymore.
For many reasons.
Anyway, I'm not saying they're not great, but there's a lot of other things that could push these things far out of 1,000 plays isn't that many. It's a lot. And it's a good data set. 2,000 isn't that many. 5,000 maybe.
Those are a lot of plays though.
Of a new game where shit. For one, like I said, some of them could be one people playing wrong, just crushing a lot of games. But a lot of them are a shit ton of people playing their first game who have no fucking clue how to play, who aren't doing anything.
And are reporting to this guy on BGG.
Yeah. People on BGG play games for the first time, Jeff.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're reporting their plays to this guy's data set on BGG either.
I don't think that it's worth. I could see maybe taking out the top and the bottom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially because of how the gap between Futurists and Craftsman.
Yeah. Or saving them for handicap purposes. Like, you're brand new. Yeah. We've all played this a bunch. Here, have Futurists. Let's see how this turns out.
Yeah.
Or you're the best.
Yeah.
And no one else here has played. Here, you take traders.
I think for this,
I wouldn't put that curse on anyone.
I think the factions here are just, you don't want to just hand them out randomly. I feel like
no,
you would want to be like, hey, here's,
Unfortunately, with 16, you can't do a bid. That'd be the best way to do it, is do a victory point bid. At the start, I'll bid 30 points for Futurists. Who wants to bid more than that?
I'll bid 100 because that's how powerful they are.
No, they are not that powerful. I would let you take Futurists for a minus 100 points every fucking time.
It would beat people with Craftsmen by over 100 points.
But it would depend on who else was, what other ones were playing in that regard. I think that's part of it, is that, obviously...
Who wants to play Architects with Futurists?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, Futurists and then Architects and the Chosen, that's going to... Futurists are going to wipe the floor with them. It's not even going to, But if it's, Futurists versus Craftsmen and Militants or whatever, is that a more competitive one? Or is it a more competitive between these two, but Futurists still... And then also it comes down to, like you said, the die rolls and then the Tapestry cards. Because what if the Futurist gets the shittiest cards ever and the Craftsman gets the best ones ever? So there's still... So just getting a great faction doesn't mean you're going to automatically win, but I think it does in comparison to what else you have. What else?
It is a huge boost, and that's why I think that a 30-point bid for Futurists I think makes sense. A 100-point bid is ludicrous, sir.
I've seen
just because you've seen somebody win by over 100 points doesn't mean so. Jesus Christ.
I'll say, I remember for the Futurists and the Craftsmen that we played with, the other factions weren't great during that time, or it was good faction.
But all the victory point
Yes.
gaps in this game have just been so insane.
They definitely have been.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we also play with a group of really good gamers who capitalize greatly on every little advantage they get.
Oh, yeah, no,
and then
definitely.
they still are 160 points behind first.
That was your future. You were literally playing one of the worst factions. I was playing one of the best. And there was 2 or 3 other people in that game.
Saying the game's got problems.
It does. And we're not doubting that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to final thoughts. Jeff,
what are your final thoughts? Are they that the game has problems?
The game has some extreme balance problems.
Mm-hmm.
The downside to, That's the downside. The upside is it's a fun game. It's not a civilization game.
No.
It's not a civilization
The
game in any way, shape, or
civilization
form.
game is such bullshit.
Mhm.
Its theme is almost non-existent. The closest you get to a civilization game is the tech cards that have text on them, the income tracks that also have random fucking texts for the names of things of what you're inventing by putting this market out.
Hey, don't discount the fact that you can go up and you're just going from standing army to cavalry, or
And you get
to
a conquest and an armory with cavalry. They just pulled names out of a hat from whatever is in that vague timeline of the world and put them on those spaces that sounded right.
I mean, that's true for a lot of Civ games.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
But this one is the most extreme bad example of pasting on that civilization. Or for the technology specifically.
See, I don't know. I feel like the tech tracks feel like exactly like tech tracks in fucking Civilization, the fucking computer game.
I'm talking about the names. Like you're inventing cavalry or like I'm pulling this market off and inventing currency. There's no tie in any way, shape, or form with currency and putting a market out.
Or the armory, you get enough and you get to virtual reality just by taking that off.
Yeah.
And you're just like, really? Okay. You just wanted to come up with a name of something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see.
Which, I mean, it's not great. It's not good, but it's fine. That, whatever. for this style of game, you couldn't get, just like in like Civilization A New Dawn, you have to, in order to get it, this level of play to not get super in depth, you have to abstract shit away.
Yes.
So,
but
yeah,
did they need them there at all? Yes, they did, because they put a Civilization game on the box, and that's why. That's
well, also, what about the fact that the tech cards you get are wildly different technology levels in terms of
and then you
air
can get
conditioning
plumbing
versus time travel.
Yeah.
And you can literally get time travel while you're still in the first era of stuff or whatever.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
No, but you could
the head of your civilization had a trippy dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Okay. But I feel like there are ways to have that be up to fully upgraded. Now, I do remember some of the cards did have to get fully upgraded tech, certain levels of on these tracks, somebody has to get past. So I guess they're trying to be like, oh, this super advanced one, someone has to get into 4 of it. But,
tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3, and it's your neighbors, which does help smooth out that
a little bit. But it just feels, yeah.
But yeah, it has some extreme balance problems with random on top of random on top of random with the die rolls versus the conquest rolls. The conquest die get like the bonus on the area, how many different spaces you have, or just between 4 and 7 victory points. Like, and a lot of times that 7 victory points is the extreme high end. Like, all these other ones get me 2. I'm definitely going to take the 7 victory points. With your random tapestry cards versus the random land tiles that you get that have the benefits on them. Some of them have income buildings, which is extremely important in this game. It sucks that it's a competitive game where you have to win by victory points, because I have fun doing what I'm doing with whatever faction I have, but I know I'm not going to win the game with that. And if you're okay with that, then it's a good game. But if you want this to be a close, competitive, light civilization game, this is not it. You kind of play in your own little circle, and it feels like you have a cap, and everyone else's cap is going to be higher or lower than yours, and you just try and do the best you can with what you get. And that's kind of sucks, but the game's okay if you can get past that.
So I'll go next, and I think it's funny hearing your final thoughts on this and knowing that you're the one who really wants to take this game, like, to be the one who gets the review copy, because that's what we do with review copies. We one of the 3 of us wants it. Like, almost always it's been like, who wants it? And that person is the only one who wants it, and they get it. Or nobody wants it, in which case it tends to go into the game night giveaway pile. And you voiced that you want this game. Like, you were even saying, you'll never see these ones again. They're not going back in the box. You have claimed this game. And that review from you is the complete, not the complete opposite, because I feel a lot of the same things.
And
but I feel like,
I do have to say, I'm someone that can see behind not winning all the time and just
True.
having fun with the game as it is.
True.
But that's why I said, if you're not someone that wants that in your game, it's definitely not for you.
Well, so coming to me, who's the guy who cares about winning and strategy and long-term planning and in-depth gameplay and interesting decisions. Fuck, this game is fun. I don't give a shit about the imbalance. I don't give a shit about anything in it. I don't give a shit. I even, like, the first time when I saw you guys playing the 2-player here while I was setting up stream stuff, I was like, ew. Like, gross. Those fucking over-the-top, ridiculously produced polyomino buildings that just are gaudy and huge and unnecessarily at the same time too big and too small and all of that. And then playing it and seeing the wildly different balance issues, seeing you get trounced in my first game, because it was the second game we ever played of it. I drew Futurist and was like, this seems good. And you took, I don't know, Architects?
Architects,
And you were like, yeah, this is cool too. Until I was like, I start at level 3 on everything.
No, I remember the Futurists. You almost didn't take it because we're
I almost didn't.
Because we're like, I mean, you start up everywhere, like higher up, but then that's it. And we're like,
but you missed out on those 12 different bonuses. Oh, wait, that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you were like, oh, yeah, I don't get a tech until far away. I can't, yes.
Granted, I think my other one was like the second or third tier powerful. Like, I had 2 of the best dealt to me. You know, or like even the one where I won the random one. Like, I didn't feel good about that win. But in the end, I have never not had fun playing Tapestry. And I've lost. I haven't always won. I've won, I think, 2 of them, like, strongly.
Yeah.
And then I think I got housed once, and then I've lost close once or twice. But
I've definitely been on both scales. Extreme loss due
oh
to
my
imbalance.
God, your one win was fucking stupid.
With the Craftsman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have never not had fun with this game. Like, watching you guys play your 2-player game, I was already like, shit. I'm going to feel real bad trashing another Jamie Stegmaier game. And then I've played it, and I can't explain it because it doesn't fit anything that I would ever, like, all of these things that we've reviewed about, all the things I've bitched about, it's overproduced. It's unbalanced.
It's random.
It's random as fuck.
With the unbalanced.
Like, and yet I have just always had fun.
I would say I have also had fun in all of my plays.
Yeah.
Because I am definitely the one that I want to do the best I can with what I have.
Yeah. And what you said about that, like, you know, you can feel like you did a lot here and you had fun with what you were doing and you end up getting
like the Greyjoys in Game of
crushed.
Thrones.
Like the Greyjoys in Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Well, it always reminds me of the reason Megan has, Megan, right now, Terraforming Mars has for the last several years been Megan's favorite game. It beat Catan out. Catan was her favorite game for a very long time. Terraforming Mars is her favorite game, and the reason she says it's her favorite game is because it doesn't matter. Like, she always wants to win. She loves winning. But no matter what, she always likes being able to look at what she's done. And Terraforming Mars is a great game of, like, being able to feel like you've done a lot even if you lost. And this game kind of, I think, can give you some of that.
Yeah.
You can feel like you get to do a lot. That power curve of going from, like, your first income getting 4 or 5, even when you're losing, you're getting 20 or 30 or 40 in your later incomes. And so you're feeling like, I'm doing way better than I was at the start. There's been a progress.
I can see my power curve, but there is it's a different scale. It's like, yeah.
So you focus on your power curve. And so, yeah, I've had a ton of fun with this, and it really, really fucking frustrates me that Jeff has so thoroughly claimed this, because I actually wish I had I'm not going to go pay for it. You know, that's a whole nother argument.
You're not going to pay the $100
MSRP
Fuck
on this game.
No. Okay. Fuck no, not even close.
Okay.
But for free, I wish I had this game.
Okay.
I would maybe, if it was like 40 or 50, yeah, I'd not even a second thought, it would be on my shelf, but not anywhere near the cost that it is. So, love the game, hate and I'm really curious to see what they do with the expansion. Like, I want to see, does he do things that balance the existing factions?
You know, it'd be funny
if
they're like, all right, for this expansion, take the Futurists and throw it away. Oh, do we get a new? No, you don't get another faction of Futurists. The expansion is us knowing to get rid of the.
And maybe they do. Maybe they say, "Hey guys, Futurist traders, take them out."
Someone played
We fucked 'em
Traders. Did you? Who played Traders?
I think it was Zach.
That's the one where you like get.
It was me. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you be? surprised to learn I didn't win the game in which I played with them. because nobody. Yeah, so this one is about you want to be adjacent near to other people and outpost tokens and people taking over your outposts. But when you know it, nobody did any freaking conquering that game.
Yeah.
And so, because they kept getting the stupid buildings instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are some factions that are overall good and some that have specific things you need to happen.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I like the game. I see all of its flaws. I see all of its problems in multiple different areas. And I don't give a fuck because I've just always had a ton of fun playing it. It is one of those that will forever be the exception to the things I care about in gaming because fuck me, it ended up really fun. And I can't explain it. Tides go in, tides go out. You can't explain it.
No.
It's just what it is. Zach, what are your thoughts?
So I will agree. The base gameplay loop in this is fun. But I will definitely say there was at least one game where I did not have fun while playing it. But for the most part, it's because of choices that I know that I had made that at least looking back on it, I can be like, or I know while I was doing this game, I was like, oh, I should have done this. That would have just let me done this. Like I remember one game I had where I had this, I had this this 3 series of moves that I was going to do that was going to let me move up 4 additional tracks. And then I realized I had done it in the wrong order, and that stopped me from doing any of it.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly when you realized that happened.
Yes.
And I saw it happen.
Yeah.
You die inside.
Yes. Yes. And I was like, all right, well, here's the end of the game.
Yeah.
So I can't fault the game for that. And I do appreciate a game that has those, because I know you do too, Adrian, or like you can see, like, I lost in those games because of the fuck up that I did.
Yeah.
Or, anything like that.
Which falls in like some of my ideas of like, I see where I can be better.
Yes.
Like I can do better.
Yeah.
And that lets me get past the loss. I hate it in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I get really mad at myself for that fuck up.
Yes.
But it brings me back.
Yeah. But I totally agree with what Jeff was saying about the different power ceilings that somebody has, or like victory point ceilings of like, oh, if I did 90% as good as I'm going to be, but Jeff only did 60% as good as he's going to be, but he had a higher power level ceiling, like that still lets him get past it.
Yeah.
That's fine, whatever. I just know for me, like we said, this is a non-Civ game. And if I wanted to play a non-Civ game, I would still probably rather play Civilization or New Dawn. Because it has a more interesting, like I said, I enjoy this movement of stuff of moving up on the advancement track, but I feel hampered a bit more by, Jeff kept getting all the, all those Tapestry cards that work great for him. And I got some that, like, literally this one is about landmark buildings and I have none and I wasn't planning on doing it. And it didn't, so this card is worthless to me. Whereas,
or you can get the tech card that lets you point at someone and be like, every time you move up on tech, I get a free move up on tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're really tech heavy. And it's just like, I'm just getting a ton of amazing free technology boosts.
Yeah. And so, I enjoy, I definitely wouldn't pay $100 for this.
No.
It is expensive.
Yeah.
It is really expensive.
Which obviously down from MSRP, that's like $80. Whatever.
Yeah,
usually
I've seen it for $80 to $90.
Yeah.
Spoiler: the cost and availability $79.20 is the lowest price that is currently available on Amazon.
So I feel like that's way too much for how light, / not deep the game is.
$79.20 is getting into my realm of like I'd consider, but there's.
Yeah. I think if this was like an $80 game that was like down to $60. And the components were a little bit downgraded to make up for that.
I would totally be down for all of those landmark buildings to be tiles.
Yep.
Yeah.
I once again, I don't think they needed to be tiles, but I think I'm fine with them being the minis, but keeping them mini, not super gigantic like they are.
Honestly, I would almost prefer them. I think because if you bring them down to just the mini side, like to where they're similar to your income buildings, then I think your board doesn't I like the 2-tier aspect of I almost would rather them be either be big and be noticeable that way or be tiles. And I'd rather them be tiles because it'd be far cheaper. And the box could be like half the size.
Yeah,
and the weight would be like half the size.
Half the size of the
and
box is just the
everything would
insert
be-
for the landmark
But my
buildings.
only problem with that is that, like, I don't think you could get away with having these landmark buildings be tiles, whereas the other buildings are buildings. I feel that is weird. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. But, like I said, I enjoyed most of the games that I played of it. I just have a game that I would rather, like, that fits this niche. I already have a game for that, and I've enjoyed my plays of that more than this one.
So I see what you're saying there.
Uh-huh.
And as much as I hate to like go back and forth in final thoughts,
Uh-huh.
for
We've
me,
never done that before.
I
either.
know, right?
Not even in this episode.
Not even in this episode. Not even in yours, and then also in Jeff's.
I know. In my issue with Civ,
Uh-huh.
and I actually really like Civ and New
Uh-huh.
Dawn.
I wish there was an expansion.
I mean,
That's the
yes,
problem.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know Civ started to feel stale
uh-huh.
by the end
And
of it.
there was
Like,
even
I always
faction imbalance in
wanted-
that.
I wanted more in Civ.
Yeah.
And knowing
The French
that,
suck.
that it's gone. Fantasy Flight is just done
No,
with Civ.
No, they said they were thinking about thinking about it.
Yes, it's done.
Okay.
It's done.
Uh-huh.
For all, and as far as I'm concerned, for all intents and purposes, it's done. Until I see otherwise, it's done. This feels like there's more to explore. Like, yes, some of that exploration is what kind of random broken shit am I going to find?
Uh-huh.
Let's
but
turn this
there's
5-player
stuff.
board into a 6-player board.
And knowing that Jamie has a plan for an expansion
Yeah.
puts this a tier ahead of that.
Okay.
I also do take issue. We've said a lot of times, like, this isn't a civilization game. I see what you're saying, Jeff, about the text being splotty and random. Like, this is just randomly
There's
this thing.
there's no connection between what it is and what you're getting.
But especially in, like, then what's a Civ board game? Like,
No, there are Civilization board games, but they are a lot heavier and a lot
right.
longer. Yes.
If you want, like, this, and Civ New Dawn's the same way.
Once again, that's why
And what's the other shitty one that I hated with the little coin, that's the little symbol card game?
Oh,
That Ant.
I
think
have
Ant
that. I
has.
have
Or
it
you
too.
Flow
have.
of history.
Flow of history.
Fucking
Yeah.
flow of history. Like, again, same thing. You have to abstract it down to,
Yeah.
and especially because shuffling a deck of cards is a key part of those kind of games. You don't end up with the tiers and things don't progress in a logical manner.
Flow of History at least did have different levels of things. It
And
did
it
have
did
1,
start
2,
to-
3,
Yes.
4, 5.
And actually, I didn't hate Flow
Yeah.
of History, but I don't know. I have a very negative, like, remembrance.
Uh-huh.
I remember not hating it, but I also don't remember liking it.
I seem to
I don't
remember
know.
when you played it, like, people kept fucking with you.
Also, yes.
So
It's a real problem with
insert
being me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Tapestry is abstracted enough.
Yes.
I still think it's a Civ game. It's certainly not a 4. And I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people hear Civ game and they think 4X. They think of like Civilization on the PC that is legitimately a 4X game.
Yes.
This is not a 4X game.
Or any of the other Civilization board games.
True. That actually carry the name Civilization.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a, at best, 2X game. You've got Explore and you've got Expand?
I mean,
Exploit?
There's
yeah.
not really much exploiting.
If you get the right land tile, I guess, and roll the right thing on the conquer die.
Yeah, but there's certainly no Exterminate. And
No.
And what's the other one? Explore, exploit, expand. Extract. Yeah.
Extract, exploit?
No, it's not extract.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
No.
Or exploit and extract are interchangeable.
Yeah. There's expanding. You put land
Yeah.
tiles down.
So
You go
there's
into
two,
space.
there's 2 of 4.
Yeah.
There's certainly not all. And I was
This is
remembering
why-
them earlier.
This is why people come to us. Like, this is why.
for us to debate about what 4X means.
And the fact that we, for whatever reason, can't remember whatever the other X is. This is our expertise showing the way.
Explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. So there's no extermination. You can't fucking
No.
you
No.
can't do any of that. I don't think there's really an exploiting. Like, you're not really exploiting any resources. Like, that's the whole thing, is getting resources and conquering
Yeah.
resource areas.
Uh-huh.
There is exploring and expanding.
Unless you count the income tracks as expand.
Yeah. No, it's very.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could technically, like, expanding lets you get. It lets you exploit the for. It's it's very
Yes.
2.5.
2 to 2.5 of 4.
2 1/4.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So,
Because you sort of, I don't know, kind of slap fight each other every
Yeah.
once in a while.
right.
Yeah.
So,
But you fight over that middle pretty quick.
oh yeah, you sure do.
Yeah, but then
Then no one cares anymore.
yeah, it's like, oh, Adrian got there, and then Jeff was like pushed Adrian over, and he's like, it's mine now. And then I just look, and I'm like,
And that's that.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit,
So I mean, it's fun, but it's got
Yeah.
some problems.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. Right on. So those are our final thoughts on Tapestry. So let's jump over to some listener feedback. There were no emails, were there, Jeff?
There was not any emails at milehighgamegoes.com.
However, there is a little bit of a comment over on BGG.
That is correct. This is from Bryant. From reading the initial reviews and rules, I just don't have any desire to play this game. This isn't my idea of a Civ game. It bothers me that the cards don't come out in some sort of tier so that the technologies appear to have some sort of relative order. The topple and trap mechanism sounds very unsatisfying, perhaps better to not include any type of combat at all. Finally, this game seems to represent a bothersome issue in the hobby, way overproducing to justify a higher cost. The buildings seem to be a pointless addition that apparently aren't even that functional on the board due to the base side and height blocking some of your views. Perhaps things like this should have been an available upgrade / expansion.
I don't on face value disagree with anything he says.
I mean, and these things are like we all sort of
Yeah.
voiced at some point or another.
Like the only tier thing in this game is that very tacked on, like, you've invented the telephone by putting out this
tech
house.
tracks themselves follow a tier, like in that, like the exploration track is a tier of like
it is tiered
you-
in terms of like you go from low amount, like low abilities to really high level abilities.
Well, but I mean, even still a little bit theme wise, like you go from like your first action is drawing 2 tiles, so you first get glimpses of new lands. Then your second action is you explore those new lands you've glimpsed.
You explore one of
You
them.
put one of them down.
Right. And then at the very end, you are glimpsing space and then exploring space.
Oh.
You know, like,
Yes.
so those follow a tiered system, but the tech cards themselves don't. Like we were saying, you can get air conditioning and
The idea for air conditioning and it's very
and time
abstract.
travel
Yeah.
and whatever else like right next to each
Yeah.
other in a ludicrous combination of events.
Mhm.
But does rubber mean that you can wipe the tech track and then draw 2 tech cards?
See, but I don't. Yes,
It's just the titles of them that I have problems with.
But I mean, what other tech could you have come up with that would have let you wipe? Rubber's very reusable, very recyclable. That lets you,
It's 'cause it
rubber
feel-
erasers let you erase the tech track and get all new tech tracks.
It feels like he made a game and then put a Civ theme on it, is more what it feels like.
I mean, I can see that, but at the same time, I can't imagine what other theme this game would be.
Yeah.
So,
Cthulhu.
well, then I would have never played it. Topple and trap mechanism, I agree. It seems weird,
Yeah.
but I don't think this game could do without it. Like,
No,
like you
the
need
conquest mechanics are nice.
you need some kind of because fuck me, if it didn't have that level of interaction,
Yeah.
then it would be too multiplayer
Yeah.
solitaire for even me.
Yeah. Well, and then you have what
And you don't have to attack someone else to get those die rolls.
No,
You can just conquer any
Exactly.
empty space.
Yeah, and if you have one where you're just like, I don't care about the board, like, because there are civilizations that don't care about the board, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm just not gonna really interact with you then, I
No.
guess.
And some really care about the board.
Exactly.
Some care about the capital space. Some
Yeah.
don't. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
The last little bit is one where I struggle because that was my initial thought when you guys were playing it and I saw the minis and I saw everything and I knew the MSRP and I knew how expensive it was and I was like, yep, this is more of that same bullshit, overproducing shit that gets in the way of gameplay and causes problems. So then, like I said, I played it. I just had a shit ton of fun. I do think it's overproduced. I don't think it gets in the way of the gameplay as much as I thought it did from watching you guys play. It
Besides
gets in the
being
way
a
of
table hog.
setup. It
Yeah,
fucks
table
with
hog.
setup and table hog.
Yeah.
But like the big minis that don't fucking really matter. The big buildings don't fucking.
And that's the sucky part. They don't really matter. It's
fucks with
literally just
setup.
just their footprint that matters.
Yeah.
But I also, especially where he says the overproducing to justify a higher cost, I don't get the feeling looking at this game and like having them in hand.
Mhm. I mean, it looks like this is what they wanted. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and it costs what it costs to make this game.
Yes.
It's not like Jamie did
you wanted
an
to make
extra
100
$20 worth of components to charge an extra $40
Yes.
of cost. He's not trying to just drive up the cost.
No.
Like,
They're not die-cast metal or anything.
This is just like this is what it cost, which is unfortunate. I think, and I do agree at the end, some of this would have been better as like an upgrade or an expansion kind of an idea. You know, like you can get Tapestry or you can get Tapestry Deluxe, and I would have been like, yeah, let me get Tapestry. Let me get some little simple minis like tokens for my board, for my resources, and then we get some cardboard fucking shits for the big buildings.
But one of the problems you have with that is that like if you give people an option and you're like, hey, here's the game or here is the deluxe game, then more often than not, people are gonna unless like the price divide is too big, they're gonna tend to go towards the deluxe version, which then so then it means for the cheaper version, if it has materials that the other one doesn't use, because you aren't producing as many copies of that one, it then raises the price of that, because
all of these things that happen are a cycle that's driven. It's and people push the blame on publishers. It's as much driven by the fucking people.
Well, it's the Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. That one
exactly.
When people were doing playthroughs of it, they hadn't had the minis yet, so they made a bunch of cardboard standees. And then when the game got released on Kickstarter, and they're like, well, here it is with the minis that it was supposed to be, and here it costs a lot. People are like, could we just get a standee version? Because this is way too much. And then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And then people are like, yeah, I think I'm just going to stick with the mini version instead. And so even though they gave the option of it, it was just like, yeah, I'd rather just have the fancy stuff.
And Gloomhaven had a standee version that barely no one even knows about.
I actually didn't even know it.
Yeah, all the heroes are in standees. Yeah, and there was a standee version you could get without the minis.
Yeah. And so yes, it 100% is it. People like to blame the publishers for this kind of thing existing, but it's as much driven by consumers. And I get where some people, like Nick's a huge fan of the show. I'm sure he'll listen to this review. I hope. But he's very much kind of similar to me. Like, I'm fine with very low level of components.
I would even say if it seems like he's sort of anti big components.
Oh yeah, this Nick would hate this. Nick, don't ever fucking buy this.
Yes,
don't even.
Bare minimum is all that is required.
He doesn't need us to tell him that, I think.
Yeah,
true. But I feel for people like him, and especially because I'm not as far down that path as he is. But it sucks for some of us who are fine with a lower level of components. That yes, the vast majority of people are going to spend the extra 20 to 30 for the better components.
Yep.
For the not better, the fancier components.
Yes.
The minis, the bling, the whatever.
That's all the Kickstarters are anymore.
Exactly.
But it's also, that's what's making the money, and that's
because it's what people are buying.
Exactly. And so that's, when you make this game, you have to compare it. It's you can't just look at it on its own of like, oh, here's just a civilization. You have to look at this versus a bunch of other ones, and then you're just like, well, okay, this one looks fine. And then a lot of times components are be like, this game looks great. It's it'll pull. Like anytime we were playing, people were like, what game is this?
Oh yeah.
So,
and you mentioned that's what people are buying. He caught a ton of shit for the pre-orders for this because they sold out immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just ridiculous. As he did for as much as I think Wingspan's a fucking boring game. It's got great
I think
components.
All of us would agree that it's not a game for us.
Yeah, It's got great components. And it was another one that he ran into a hot load of shit for because it constantly sold first, second, third print run.
8th printing now, I think, is what Wingspan's
I almost feel bad for Jamie. Like, he could do a little better, I think, with he's super nice in person. I think some of his online communications and things could be a little bit better. But he keeps finding himself in this situation where he makes games that are enjoyable to a large number of people.
Mass market,
great components. Mass market, some would say. With great components that people are going to typically willing to spend the extra for. So they're going to be hard to find, which then drives the weird hype demand thing. And then everybody's like, oh, Jamie's manipulating hype because he didn't print 100,000 copies.
Yeah.
But here's
no one prints 100,000 copies.
And I think part of it is just that, I feel like people inflate how much value, board game companies have, or what margins they're playing with. He could, if he made 100, obviously 100,000 is too much, but how, what did he, for an initial thing, but he did 35,000 or something.
Sounds stupid.
If
nobody does that.
Yeah. If he did.
Wingspan's original pre-order was 10,000.
Exactly.
Because he went to distributors and was like, how many copies do you want? How many copies do you want? How many copies do you want? And they were combined 10,000. He's like, all right, I'm going to make that. I'm going to do what my distributors wanted me to do. Yeah. And then it just fucking exploded out of control.
And even 10,000, he thought was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like it's a entry level worker placement about birds. Who fucking wants this?
Yeah. And so it's just like, if you did $35,000 or 35,000 copies of this game and then say it, for whatever reason, nobody wanted it, that would
be fucked.
That would be ruined.
It'd be the end of him.
Like, how many copies of Between Two Castles are sitting in his warehouse?
Yeah.
I think this pre-order for Tapestry sold out with less than 48 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like open for a week, and within the
I had to get my review request in that time frame, or he was going to run out and we wouldn't get a review copy.
Yeah.
I think actually the number is on the
is
front of the box.
1,015.
I have number 1,115 of 25,000.
25,000. Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
but it's out there now.
It is,
which is why we're doing this review.
Indeed.
Yes.
So that wraps up listener feedback. Just the one comment that then spawned another 10 minutes of discussion.
That's a good conversation to have around the game.
Yeah. Exactly. So moving on to cost and availability. As I alluded to earlier a little bit with a little spoiler there, it is available. You can get it in multiple places. Pretty much everywhere I'm looking at is $79 and change to $89 and change.
Yep.
So somewhere in that $80 to $90 range is where you'll find this right now. It's a bit high for me for what I get out of this game. Like, don't get me wrong, I've had a bunch of fun with it, but I'm not going to spend $80, $90 on it.
Have a friend that has it.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But
and one other thing to mention we didn't really talk about how long the game plays. It never felt long.
No.
A
couple hours. It's about right for 2 hours.
90 to 120 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, it was actually really pretty spot on with that. So.
And I like it best at 3 players.
Yeah, I agree with that.
3 and 4, I've had good times with. I haven't played. I want to play 2 with the Automa. I didn't get a chance to do that with Megan. I really wanted to.
And there's an Automa in there too.
Yeah.
I just don't like the 4 to 6 player because it feels like
4 to 5.
The 4 to 6 island map.
Yes, there you go.
Because it just feels like it's missing a fifth.
Yeah. 3 is a great player count for it.
Yeah.
Because of that full board.
And probably at 2 or whatever with the Automa.
Right. Yeah, so there you go. Those are our final thoughts. That's how much it costs. You can make your decisions from there. We're not here to tell you what to do.
Nope.
But we tried to go over its problems and that it was also an okay game beyond that.
Yes.
I do think it's very funny. We had I feel like we had a lot more distinct, articulate, clear problems with this game. And yet overall gave it a very positive review.
It's still not a bad game.
Yeah, whereas last week we had a different game that was like, there's nothing really wrong with it, but it's just not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can make a fun game that's got some problems, and that's kind of what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's it for the review. If you want to get a hold of us, there are multiple ways to do so. You can send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can follow us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
We also regularly stream over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. By the time you're listening to this, I don't know what we'll have scheduled, but we stream Sundays, our Wednesday podcasts, so you can get a behind-the-scenes live look at those recordings. Fridays, we stream live plays of some board games.
Which Tapestry is on YouTube right now.
Tapestry is indeed on YouTube. It is unfortunately... we need to do another stream of it because it was the last stream before I realized that we had a 400 bit rate set as our default instead of the 4,500 bit rate that we can actually handle.
I would play Tapestry.
We should do a 3-player Tapestry again. Yeah. I'd be down.
Just not this guy.
Just no futurists.
Or that guy.
Or
this
no,
guy.
Yep.
Just take those. I'll be the craftsman again.
No. We'll bid for craftsman.
Here. How about this? You be the craftsman, I'll be the militant, and I guess Adrian would have to be the
Oh, no.
That's it.
Oh, that's funny, guys. This stream didn't broadcast or record. So you can catch us on Twitch. You can go over there and follow us and or subscribe. If you have Amazon, you can get a free Amazon Prime. You can get a free monthly subscription over on Twitch. Which, if you're not using it for anyone else, Why not use it for us?
But you do have to re-up it every month.
Every month. That is an unfortunate fucking aspect of that. And I know it's intentional on their part, but it sucks. We also have Facebook and Instagram /Mile High Game Guys. Our website is milehighgameguys.com, where we have show notes with, if you want to listen to this review, but you only care about our final thoughts, you can jump over to the website, go to the post for it, and see, final thoughts start at, an hour and 20 minutes, whatever it was.
Or whatever podcast thing you have usually has the show notes in there that you can click on.
And sometimes you can just click right on it. It jumps right to it. You can be like, what were their final thoughts? Boom. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, so you can find all of that over at our website, milehighgameguys.com, or in your podcast app of choice. Also over on that website in those show notes is a link to our Board Game Geek Guild, guild number 2731, where Zach does posts for games we're reviewing, games we're playing on the streams. There's a calendar with the streams, updated at somewhat regular intervals.
Yeah.
As we schedule things, we're kind of fly by the seat of our pants, which if you didn't know that already, let me just tell you, we do things off the cuff. There's also a link there to our Slack channel. Our Slack channel is free for anyone who wants to join. Anyone at all can just go there, click the link, join up, and start chatting about all kinds of random inane things, making fun of us as we record or stream. All of that happens in the Slack. Random sports, things, all kinds of stuff. And finally, if you want to support the show, there are a few ways to do so. Like I mentioned earlier, you can subscribe to us over on Twitch, with either a Twitch Prime subscription or just a monthly subscription. You can also jump over to our Patreon, patreon.com/milehighgameguys, where you can throw us varying amounts of money in exchange for,
beratement.
Beratement mostly, and or that warm, fuzzy feeling that you're helping a podcast / streaming show happen. So we'd like to thank all of our existing patrons for all of their support. The streaming and the new studio, all of that stuff would not have happened without them. That is very hugely important to us, and we do really appreciate all of the help you guys give us. So yeah, that is basically everything. So we're going to close this up. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review and it's helped you formulate an opinion.
Your opinion you probably already had about this game.
Or helped you maybe make a decision.
There's a lot of opinions about this game out there.
Maybe we're on the fence. Maybe somebody was on the fence and we pushed them off one side or the other and they either fell into a nice pile of leaves and are comfortable, or they skinned their knee on the gravel on the other side. I don't know.
Or they sat in the middle about parts like we did.
Sure. Something like that. But thanks everybody for listening. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. So, as always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm fanboy Jeff.
Bye.
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 Control Alt V with the not keeping the source or the form, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Control Shift
formatting,
whatever. Yeah, I can do it on my fingers. I don't know what buttons I'm pressing. I'm just pressing buttons. Okay,
that keyboard may as well be blank.
Yeah, muscle memory. Anyway, this doesn't matter.
No,
right?
Nothing we say matters.
It takes up a time.
It takes up.
God, that get close to home.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.